Our solar system is home to 8 planets, a half dozen official dwarf planets, an uncountable number of comets and asteroids, in addition to more than 200 moons orbiting the outermost planets in our solar system. Surprisingly, many of the solar system's smaller rocky bodies exhibit incredible, strange features that make some of these places much more interesting than their larger counterplanets. However, most of the objects in our solar system are horrifyingly dangerous places that you wouldn't want to live on for an extended period of time. Of course, at the current time, all of the objects in our solar system are uninhabitable and will remain so without a slew of changes taking place. With that said, some seem to be a bit worse than others, so here are the top 4 worst places to live. Pluto. Pluto is like the worst planet to live of our solar system. In addition to being about a kabillion miles away from the center of the solar system, this poor guy didn't even have the time to complete an entire orbit. Pluto would be an incredibly horrible place to live. For starters, using our current technology, it would take well over a decade just to travel to this distant planet. This means that if we were able to colonize this dwarf planet, it will take several years for our spacecrafts to ship any supplies to humans living there. In addition to this, one must have an unusual fondness for cold weather and darkness in order to consider Pluto a vital candidate for a vacation, let alone permanent settlement. Pluto is just as small as its distance, at only 1,455 miles. Pluto is 20% as big as Earth and only 0.2% as massive. Furthermore, its extremely bad orbit takes its cruising around the sun at an average distance of 3.6 billion miles. This means that it takes the tiny object some 248 years to complete one full revolution around the sun. Since it was discovered in 1930 and dominated to a dwarf planet just a few years ago, it didn't even complete one orbit around the sun, and it had already been discovered and declassified as a planet. It's also cool to note that one accusation, Pluto's orbits takes it closer to the sun than its nearest comet neighbor, Neptune, the outermost planet of our solar system. On average, Pluto is about 39 times further from the sun than our planet is. So if any observers were located on Pluto, the sun would appear 1/39th as big as it does from the Earth. From such a distance, our sun would be a small point of light in our sky. Thus, it would be very difficult to discern the true nature of our planet, which is imperative to our being. At this distance, it would seem like just another bright light in the sky, like any other star. Another thing that is imperative to our survival is water, which Pluto has an abundance of. The catch, most of it is frozen, and it's frozen harder than conventional steel, so this water wouldn't be at all great for drinking. However, it would probably be cool to manufacture huge ice machines using plutonic ice. They would be rather resistant structures, but they would be far too cold for humans to live in. Which brings us to the next problem with Pluto. You would have to be well suited to sub-zero conditions to live here. The temperature hovers just above absolute zero. Titan is perhaps the most Earth-like world in our solar system. It has shores, oceans, rivers, mountains, and valleys. All of these are like the Earth. However, there is an important distinction to make. While Earth's surface is covered by 70% water, Titan is covered in hydrocarbons. Notably, Titan is the only world known to hold a subsurface body of liquid. Most other bodies are much too cold or hot to retain or sort of liquid on their surfaces. With Titan's chilly temperatures, which hang around a negative 289 degrees Fahrenheit, water would be frozen solid. However, certain substances turn from a gas to a liquid at these temperatures. Withstanding liquid aside, Titan would still be a stellar place to visit. In fact, put it on both the places to live in our solar system, along with the worst, mainly because Titan has many interesting features to explore. Also, you can strap on a pair of wings and fly due to Titan's low surface gravity and dense atmospheric pressures. A person who weighs 100 pounds on Earth weighs 12 pounds on Titan. So you would need some good upper body strength, but it could be done. You could slowly flutter around the moon like a Superman. Titan, however, is lacking in oxygen, something imperative to our survival. If that weren't enough of an issue, said atmosphere is more than 10 times higher than Earth's, extending some 370 miles into space. Also, it rains down thick drops of methane, a key component used to power our cars, that are more than twice as large as the typical raindrops on Earth. The fact that these drops are so heavy, coupled with Titan's low surface gravity and dense atmosphere, leads to the droppings falling much slower than our snowflakes do. In short, on Titan, it rains gasoline and is so cold that said compounds are able to pool on the surface in liquid form, creating oceans, rivers, and lakes of methane and ethane, similar to our Earth. Titan has plenty of mysteries left to unravel, as some astronauts think Titan is the most likely candidate to harbor some sort of external life forms. The problem is, we haven't fully explored it yet, but hopefully we will soon. 2. Venus. Whoever gave Venus, the second planet from the sun, the nickname Earth's twin, was flat out wrong, except where size is concerned. Venus is not really all that similar to Earth. For starters, Venus' atmosphere is chock full of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. These gases are responsible for making this planet to the highest regard. Our atmosphere, which is primarily responsible for distributing the energy we receive from the sun, has the opposite effect of Venus. Instead of heating the planet so that it has more tropical climates, Venus' atmosphere superheats the planet. It's so hot that it is totally inhospitable for any type of life that we are familiar with. Little was known about the planet until the sovereigns launched the program during the space race. Since Venus' dense atmospheres are too light at visible wavelengths, we couldn't see what the surface was like. This led some to speculate that the planet was filled with exotic alien life. When the first probe touched down and began transmitting data back to Earth, they effectively achieved the first landing of a probe on an alien planet, and the only successful landing on the surface of Venus to this very day. Unfortunately, there was no alien life. In fact, the terrain was so incredibly violent that the longest any of the probes lasted was 127 minutes. Number 1. Io. If you're looking for a more balmy climate, Io might be your best bet. Despite its distance from the sun, the tidal stresses between this strange cheese-colored moon and its parent planet can warm this tiny world to temperatures exceeding those found on its sister moons. The tidal forces of Jupiter and the other 3 Galilean moons cause so much stress on Io that there are more than 400 active volcanoes littering the surface of the moon, which is no more than 2,263 miles in diameter. This makes Io one of the most geological active body in our solar system. The most powerful of Io's volcanoes is Loki, which is also the most powerful volcano we found in our solar system. It is capable of spitting lava more than 186 miles up into space. Furthermore, ecogeologists have discovered a subsurface ocean of magma that extends more than 31 miles beneath the low-density crust, feeding the volcano with energy to emit more heat than all of the volcanoes on Earth combined. Lastly, Io is sometimes called a land of both fire and ice, as the surface temperatures on the moon generally hang around about -202 degrees, while the temperatures near the molten volcano can reach about 3,000 degrees, giving way to sulfur dioxide snowflakes. Even if you were able to find a patch of land with tame temperatures, you would still be fried by the extreme amount of radiation the moon receives from Jupiter. Thankfully, our Earth shields us from most of the radiation it receives from the sun. But Io aren't so lucky. Unlike Earth, they have no atmosphere or magnetic field to protect them, so it's safe to say that living in Io will suck. but the view would be rather nice.